People really start a business because they love um, to do something or to make something, not because they love business. People don't start a business because they love financials or they love to set it up. They start a business because they're passionate about something. And it's not generally running a business. That is an afterthought. That's something that comes along with their passion.
Let's learn how our next guest get up, dress up, and show up on purpose. Enjoy the episode. Hello, morning enthusiasts. Welcome to the Best Morning Routine Ever podcast. I am your host, Dr. Lunid, and I am super excited and elated to have a very amazing guest with us today, Brooke Lively. She is the CEO and founder of Cap, a C-suite service that helps get this business grow profitable with clear financial strategy. She has an MBA in investment and corporate finance, and as a chartered financial analyst, she has guided Inc. 5,000 companies, CEOs, and small businesses owners in scaling, but not just scaling, but scaling with confidence. And so she helps them with complex financial data, simplifying that, actionable insight. She's a trusted advisor and a thought leader, and she empowers entrepreneurs to improve cash flow, drive profit, and make smarter business decisions. Who doesn't want that? It's a dream come true. And I'm really excited to have her on here. I'm really ready to hear her story. So with no further ado, Brooke, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lunita. I appreciate that.
It is my absolute pleasure to have you on here. And we were talking about why and finding your purpose offline a little bit. We love a hero story. So we want to find out, like, tell us about your why. What got you started and when?
Oh gosh, my why didn't come for a really long time. I drifted through life for a really long time and kind of thought I wasn't never going to find my why and gave up on it and was kind of resigned to that fact that I wasn't going to be one of those people.
Hmm.
And I made peace with it. And I was in retail and I was, doing stuff like that. And that was just going to be my life. And I ended up going back to grad school at 35, which, pretty late to go back and get your graduate degree, and found out I really liked numbers and I liked finance. And that still didn't give me my why. But it turned out a few years later, I was running a family business, and it was a law firm. And I had hired someone that only worked with lawyers to help with sales and marketing. And his clients started coming to me and saying, can you do for us what you do for your family? And that was when I really started to understand how, you know, people really start a business because they love um, to do something or to make something, not because they love business. People don't start a business because they love financials or they love to set it up. They start a business because they're passionate about something.
Right.
And it's not generally running a business. That is an afterthought. That's something that comes along with their passion. And I watched so many business owners struggle with that, struggle with things like, how do I talk to the bank to get a loan so I can grow? What am I supposed to be looking at with a lease? How do I know when to hire? How do I know if my people are being productive? Am I getting my money's worth out of them? How do I pay them? And there's just so much angst that goes along with that. And I thought, it's not that hard. It doesn't have to be so hard. And, when you think about the US economy, the vast majority of the US economy is small businesses. And who gets that strategic financial advice? Is it the backbone of the US economy, or is it Exxon and Apple and Microsoft?
The bigger ones. Bigger.
That's the big ones. So why are we denying the vast majority of the American economy the benefit of that strategic financial advice? They don't have to suffer. And so I found my why at about 40.
Hmm. And that must have been thrilling because I mentioned earlier, like people spend half their lifetime trying to find that, and it doesn't come to them. And so for you, it must have been like that big aha moment. And now you absolutely love what you do.
I love what I do. And, you're right. I am actually traveling right now. I'm traveling with my mother. And she looks at me, she's like, you work all the time. I don't think you even realize how much you work. And she's probably right. But when you're passionate about it, when you really believe in what you're doing, it doesn't feel like you're working that much.
Right.
And I can sit in here at my computer for a long time and do these things because I'm making an impact. I'm changing people's lives and I'm making them better. And I love that. So, it feels like no time at all has passed.
Yeah. You do what you love and you don't work a day in your life. I think is
Yeah.
how the quote goes. And so you're embodying that, you're living testimony of that. Now you've managed to grow your business rapidly, like in 1 or 2 years, you went to seven figures already. Was the drive finding your passion, what was the key to that rapid growth for you?
Well, the first business I did that with was actually my family's law firm.
Okay.
And, that was one of those things where I learned so much doing that. And I could really see what's going to break next. If we add this marketing in, it's going to bring this many clients in. Do we have the staff to take care of that? And that's where so many people go wrong. Sales is so important to every business. No, no sales, no business, right? I mean, if you don't have money coming in, nothing's going to happen.
Yep.
Uh, but I also watch so many of my clients that hyper focus on sales and they don't think about the fact that they're going to have to deliver a product or a service after they sell it. And they just keep stuffing people in the top of the funnel. And I'm like, no, 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 we got to think all the way through because it may take 4 months to hire and train somebody to make that product or give that service. So don't advertise for clients now because we can't take care of them for 4 months. And so that's what I love about what I do and the strategy is really looking to see what's going to break next. Where is our weak point? And, so when I'm scaling a business, it's really looking out and seeing what are the different levers that I can pull and what's the best order in which to pull them.
Yeah, I like that you say what is gonna break next, and a lot of times entrepreneurs are oblivious to the fact that it's what is it? It's internal or it's in house. It's having the human capital to fulfill those orders once they come in. Because as you alluded to earlier, we don't like the numbers. They don't like the numbers, right? They don't follow that stuff and don't know how to work it. The what do you call it? The financial literacy. Let's talk about that. Why is that a blind spot for a lot of entrepreneurs? You alluded a little bit to it about that. They come in for the passion, they want to make the impact, but it's such a huge deal.
It is a big deal. And I think part of it is, let's face it, we don't want to look at our numbers. We're a little scared of them. We don't know what they're going to say. And I got to tell you, about 85 or 90% of the time, they're not as bad as we think they're going to be. We're really scared that they're going to tell us something that we don't want to hear. But here's the thing. Even if they're worse than you think, at least you know where you are. And that's a much better place because nothing is worse than the just the crud that your mind will make up to fill the void. If you don't know anything, your mind is going to make up crazy stories. So go look at it. The other thing is people are very afraid of looking dumb. And the fact of the matter is we have this thing called the internet. And now we have ChatGPT. And you can actually put your financials into ChatGPT and say, are they healthy? Do I have the right ratios? Should I have better margins? Looking at these financials, what should I be aware of? What questions should I be asking? What parts of my business should I be focusing on? Don't be afraid to ask the internet your questions. I was telling Shrey, I had a client and he was going to get a loan and I prepped him. He had all his paperwork. He had a little narrative, like he was good. So he goes to the meeting and he comes back and he calls me and he's like, I'm never going to get the loan. I'm not going to get the loan. I'm not going to be able to expand. He literally had employees sitting at folding tables in the hallway of his office because he didn't have enough room for them,
Wow.
right? I mean, he really needed to get a loan so he could get a bigger office. And he's like, I'm never going to get it. He's like, it's over. I'm going to implode because I've got more work than I can get done and they're not going to give me the loan. And I was like, what happened? And he said, oh, they wanted a pro forma. And I'm like, yeah. You know that budget we did for next year? He's like, yeah. I'm like, that's what the pro forma is. And he like hesitated for a second and then he went off. If I hadn't been there, he wouldn't have gotten the loan because he would have been too afraid to ask what a pro forma was. So I'm telling this story to a banker one time. And he's like, well, why didn't he just ask what a pro forma was? And I looked at this guy and I said, would you have loaned him $500,000? Would you have loaned $500,000 to someone who didn't know what a pro forma was? And he's like, well, oh, actually, yeah, no,
Right.
probably not. So the fear is valid, but the internet is knowledgeable.
Yeah.
It'll answer all your questions. Just put in there, what is a pro forma? I've done it. I still do it.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
It's okay.
That's what knowledge is, right? It's power until you apply it. Otherwise, it's just info overload, which could be a different
Yeah.
problem. What are some like financial metrics you feel every CEO should track, either daily or weekly, just so they're on top of things?
Yeah. So I feel like everybody should understand their cash. And usually what I say about this is you should have a cash flow forecast that looks out week by week, 6 to 8 weeks in the future. You don't spend the same amount of money every week, right? Week 1 and week 3 of the month are always more expensive than week 2 and week 4
Mhm.
because you've got rent in week 1 and you've got payroll in week 1 and week 3. So they're hideously expensive. And shockingly, your clients don't like to pay you in week 1 and week 3 because it's their most expensive month also. And I don't care what your bill says. They think they can pay you 30 days after they receive it. So they really want to pay you in month 4. I mean, in week 4. So, you got to figure out how the cash is going to hit and how much cash you're going to have. So that's the first number that really I think everybody should track is how much cash you're going to have. I think you should track a production number. How much have you, and it's different for everybody. If you're manufacturing, it may be some combination of how many orders do you have and how much inventory do you have and how much production do you have. So basically, work in progress. You can also do that if you are a service-based company. Work in progress is going to be any unbilled time that you have. If you're an architect, what are you going to bill at the end of the month? Because what you're going to bill at the end of this month is going to be next month's revenue. So that's going to inform that cash flow forecast. So those are two that are really important. I also want to look at how much you as the owner are getting paid. We believe in running any kind of company on the rule of thirds. So 1/3 of not your top line revenue, but that revenue number that comes after cost of goods sold. So 1/3 of that number should be going to pay the people doing the work. 1/3 should go to overhead, which includes marketing, and 1/3 should go to the owner as profit. You can make a decision whether to invest that back into the company or not, but as the owner, you've got to get paid. Because if you are not getting paid, you're not going to be making good business decisions. You're going to be making decisions from a place of fear.
Yeah, survival.
Yeah. And then, and I've seen this, who's the guy that wrote, now I'm not going to be able to remember the name of any of his books. Mike Michalowicz has a great phrase that he talks about, entrepreneurial poverty.
Mm-hmm.
You're plowing everything into your company. You're not necessarily taking out a lot of money. And you get to a point where finally the company is starting to make money. And you as the entrepreneur, the owner, take it all out, everything. And my CFOs used to be really shocked, annoyed, frankly, ticked off at their clients who would do this. And they're like, why? When they're finally making money, when they finally have money to really invest back in the company, are they taking it out? I'm like, oh, entrepreneurial poverty. They haven't made any money really in so long. They have deprived themselves. They've got pent up demand. They haven't been on vacation. Their car is falling apart because they haven't bought a new car. They're, they want new clothes. Please, can I just buy some new clothes? So every penny they can pull out, they pull out and spend. The problem is that stops the company growth, which puts them back into that loop again of not having any money. So we want to make sure that you're getting paid, even if it means your growth is a little slower. It's just one of those things that makes us a responsible business owner.
Yeah, one of the things to track and to be on top of, and that makes sense because you want longevity. You're in it for the longevity, and if you're running yourself to the ground or running yourself broke, then it's hard to sustain. It's hard to, like you said, I like the way you put it, to make good decisions if you're coming from a place of depletion. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, fear-based decisions are never going to be our best decisions.
Yeah. What strategies do you recommend to move a business from that fear base or from that survival to truly growth or profitable?
Um, well, one of the other things I think you should look at um, is when you're looking at your marketing and sales is, you know, what is, what's the ROI on my marketing? What kind of return on investment am I getting? Um, Whether you're doing what I call shoe leather marketing, which is where it's you out there pounding the pavement, talking to people, or whether it is doing pay-per-click and retargeting and all on the internet, are you getting a good return on that? How much time or resources, let's just say resources, how much resources does it take to get a sales call? How many sales calls do you have to get a client? That's what's really important, because if it takes you, and I'm totally making this up, 172 hours of networking to get one client worth $30, that's not worth it.
Right.
Don't do that. Um, if it takes you 30 minutes of networking to get 150, then yeah, I'm going to send you out to do 30 minutes of networking as often as you can to get 150 clients. That's a great use of your time. So really watch that and pay attention.
Yeah, well put. Uh, let's talk about, how you get up, dress up, and show up, and how you be able to make sure you're coming from a place of fullness, so that you can help the clients that you do. What's your morning routine like?
My morning starts really slowly, and then it does get a little more panicky towards the end. But I um, I wake up naturally every morning, and the first thing I do is I make myself tea. So I have a little setup upstairs, and I've got a tea kettle, and I boil the water, and I make tea in a 200-year-old teapot. And then I get back in bed with my tea and my china cup and my 200-year-old teapot. And I turn on the TV, and I have the Today Show going. But really what I do is I triage my email, and I read the newspaper online. And I actually read a British newspaper. I don't read a US newspaper because the US media is a little polarizing. So I go read a more balanced newspaper where the world isn't ending quite so much. And I do that so that I know exactly what I have to do when I get to the office. I think there's a great expression, eat the frog first. So what's the frog that I have to eat? What is the first thing I'm going to do when I get into the office? What emails can I respond to sitting in bed before I get up? Because when I do get to the office, it's 1,000 miles an hour the minute I walk through the door. So anything that I can triage, anything that I can do beforehand sets me up for a much more productive morning in the office.
Yeah, it's a win because then once you get in the office, your time is no longer yours.
Right. So, I sit there, I drink my tea, I read the paper, I watch the Today Show, I respond to all the emails. I pretty much will clear out my email box. I am kind of neurotic about my email box. There are never more than 50 emails in my email box. I do not leave the office at the end of the day until every single one is read. I do not go back into the office in the morning until every single one is read. Um, and, I've usually dealt with almost all the emails by the time I get back into the office. So there's nothing sitting there. The downside of my morning routine is that I'll sit there doing all of that for so long that I generally look at my watch and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to get in the shower. So I do usually kind of squeal into the office on two tires right before my first meeting.
Two tires. Yeah. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And email's a big thing. It's not just as an entrepreneur, but even work. You're just so bombarded by emails. That's the mode of communication
Mhm.
these days. What are your tips on how to manage? You shared some pretty good ones on making sure that you don't leave it to get too big, to a bit
Yeah.
of a number, but it's everyone's problem right now, actually. So let's talk about that.
It is. I am very protective of my email. I'm very disciplined about it, and I have 3 email addresses. I have what I call my junk email address. Yes, I still have a Hotmail account.
Yeah.
I have a personal email address and I have a business address. And if I have to put in my name and email address for any reason to get something, it's that Hotmail email address. And I don't usually look at that because that's all junk email. It's nothing that I'm worried about. It's nothing that I care about. Okay, yes, if I've ordered something online and I need the UPS shipping number, I can go in there and find it. But I don't worry about cleaning it out. I don't worry about unread emails. I have a personal email box, which is where friends and family email me. And that is the only place they email me. I promise you, most of my friends don't even know what my business email address is. And it's easy to go through those. And then I've got my business email box, and that's the one where I'm really disciplined. Any email that's left in my email box is a to-do. That is a tickler or a reminder of something that I have to get done. And I read them all before I leave the office every day. There are no unread emails. So right now I have 33 emails in my email box. One is unread. And, I get rid of them as fast as I can. I go in, I get the task done, and I delete it. I am very big in my company about don't CC everybody. If I don't need to weigh in on the decision, why do I need to be on the email? And I think that a lot of people kind of do that CYA, CC. Don't do that. That's just mean.
Yeah, it really is clutter if you think about it, and and your environment usually depict how organized you are mentally and how easily you are able to process information. So emails
Yeah.
have become a clutter. It's almost like having a desk with a lot of sticky notes on it and not knowing the end or the beginning of it. And so I'm with you with cleaning the inbox because it does help you focus more and clarity.
And people know how disciplined I am about my email, so they don't just randomly email me. They email me when there is an occasion, when there is a decision, when there is a piece of information that I need.
Yeah. That's as it should be, especially running a company. Tell us, where can we find you? Where can we connect with you?
The best way is, well, I can't believe I'm gonna give you my email address. Use it prudently. Um, my email is brooke@cathcap.com. So Brooke has an E on the end of it, and Cathcap is CATHCAP.com. And you can learn more about our company at cathcap.com.
Fantastic. Brooke, thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us today.
Oh, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Such a pleasure. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please comment and tell us what was your favorite part, your favorite habit that you are going to try out for yourself today. Comment below. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. Until next time, I will see you at the top of your best morning routine ever. Stay blessed.